What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another edition of After the Movie. We just got out of the theater. It's 10 o'clock at night, and we just saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, I haven't seen you in a while on one of these. Last time was Venom.
Yeah.
I guess you're just gonna show up whenever there's a Spider-Man related movie now. So
I guess so.
So that's pretty legit. I think you weren't because we went to see Homecoming last year. So we're basically just gonna see every Spider-Man movie. That's what I'm pretty determined to say now. So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the first animated Spider-Man movie, I want to say. That's in theaters.
Like theater movie.
And basically, it's focused solely kind of on Miles Morales. A bit of Peter Parker. You know, you got your Spider-Gwen, you got Peter Porker, you got Penny Parker, who I'm not really familiar with, and then you have Spider-Man Noir, who was probably my favorite part of the movie because it was Nick Cage voicing him. But yeah, so they go in there. Basically, the gist of this movie is Kingpin wants to open up the multiverse to find his family because he kind of screwed things up and they ended up passing away. So this brings forth all these different Spider-Mans. Miles Morales just really randomly gets bitten by a radioactive spider, I might add, and starts to get powers of Spider-Man, and it's kind of a bit of his coming of age, but then it's got all this other shit going on. And yeah, there's some funny moments. There's some really nice looking animation, and that's the saving grace of the movie for me, is the animation, because it's kind of done in a way I've never really seen a comic book.
Yeah, it's got this cool comic book art style.
Yeah, the comic book art style is great. That's really the only saving grace I can say of this movie, because there's a few funny bits. What was it? The beginning, they parodied Emo Peter from Spider-Man 3, which was really funny. And then there's a funny post-credit scene.
Your guns and all.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite part of the movie, was the Emo Peter parody, because I'm as soon as that happened, okay, I'm really sold on this movie.
Yeah.
And then it gets going. And are you familiar with Miles Morales?
I mean, I know a little bit about him. There's a little bit about his origins and his some different abilities and shit. But
yeah, I'm not too familiar with Miles Morales. Obviously we know Peter Parker, from various comic books, animation, live action movies. I mean, by God, we've had so many different people. And within the span of 10 years, we had 3 different live action Peter Parkers. That's kind of crazy to think about. He's Spider-Man and Batman are the 2 that have been adapted the most. Although I'm more familiar with the Batman lore, obviously, than Spider-Man lore, but I still know a fair share of Spider-Man and his villains. I still need to play the Spider-Man video game, but hopefully soon I'll be able to play it over Christmas break. That's basically all I'm going to do once I get it, just nothing else but play Spider-Man. I've been kind of holding out for the past couple months to play it. So yeah, but with this movie, I don't know. I know it's getting really great reviews, but I think it's just all right. What about you?
I mean, yeah, it's got good visuals. It's definitely a great visually stunning movie, but and it's fun too. It's got some fun parts, obviously, like Sean said, but it's also kind of there's a lot of parts that drag on a lot, and
definitely
kind of sitting there
I did kind of
nothing's really happening.
I did kind of doze off a little bit at one point, but it's okay, because I already had seen that scene at the end of Venom in the post-credit scene.
Yeah, they did play.
They played the same scene, so I'm like, oh well, I kind of know this part, and then I just kind of dozed off a little bit just to show you, because I mean, granted, I am kind of tired. I've been up since early this morning, and they are comfy seats in the theater now. They got the recliners in there. But I still it just wasn't grabbing my attention all that much. I remember seeing something similar to this plot. It was an episode of one of the animated Spider-Man shows, the one that had Drake Bell. I can't remember which Spider-Man show. It wasn't Spectacular. It was Ultimate. No, there's a lot of Spider-Man shows. But it was the one with Drake Bell, I remember that, voicing Peter Parker. And I remember he goes to different, it was a 3-part storyline. They changed the animation style up. It was actually really good. Paul Dini wrote at least one of the episodes. I know that he goes to, Peter Porker, then he goes to Miles Morales, and then he ends up going Spider-Man 2099. And I thought that was done a little better than this one. But this movie, it's got kind of that indie film sense of humor, which doesn't really I don't really find too much amusement in it. I know Jake Johnson voiced like Peter Parker at some point in this movie, and Jake Johnson, I'm not really a huge fan of. He kind of just like, he's trying to be like, he thinks he's kind of funny when he talks, but he's not really funny when he talks. Outside, like that kind of like, you're supposed to laugh at him, but kind of not really. That old thing. But yeah, in terms of other characters in the movie, like I said, Spider-Man Noir is voiced by Nick Cage, and I think he's the real standout of the Spider-Man. Spider-Gwen's in there for all you Spider-Gwen fans, so there's that.
I mean, she's like 14 now, so.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, she's still in the movie for all you fans. I mean, I know Spider-Gwen's pretty popular on Tumblr, so.
I wonder why.
I wonder why, yes. But yeah, other than that, I think it's just all right. In terms of Spider-Man movies, it's, I don't know where I'd rank this. It's better than Amazing Spider-Man 2. Although part of me would rather still watch I'd rather watch the Raimi trilogy and Homecoming above this.
I think any Spider-Man movie is going to be better than Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, Amazing
Venom
Spider-Man
was
2.
better than Amazing Spider-Man 2. I mean, come on.
Yeah, actually, I'd rather watch Venom than Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's kind of the sad part with Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just, I do not give a shit about the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I don't think anybody does.
You know, people like to rip on Spider-Man 3 a lot, but really Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a lot worse, I'd say. Spider-Man 3 is at least entertaining.
Yeah,
like, it's stupid, but it's so funny. Like, Emo Peter... Think about all the joy that Emo Peter has brought us over the past couple of years. Like, all the memes, the dance, the Drive That Funky Soul.
Oh, man.
Emo Peter has brought so much good to this world. And Spider-Man 3, like I said, there's a lot of stupid stuff, but it's a real, like, I still kind of enjoy it. Well, it's definitely the weakest of that Raimi trilogy.
Yeah.
But it has some really good action. There's some really, really funny stuff in that movie. Funnier than really anything in this movie we just saw. Emo Peter is so funny. What else? J. Jonah Jameson. J. Jonah Jameson is not in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, how can you not have J. Jonah Jameson in this movie? Like,
I think it's because they still just can't get anybody better
than J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
And he was in that animated crossover I was telling you about with the Drake Bell thing. Like, J.K. Simmons, I believe, was voicing him in that universe. You just can't get anyone better than J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
I think, like, I know people, like, are up in debate, like, oh, this is the best Spider-Man movie. Oh, Tobey's my favorite. You know, Tom Holland's my favorite. Andrew Garfield's my favorite. But I think the one thing that unites all movie fans of Spider-Man is J.K. Simmons, is J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who doesn't like him in that role. That's, like, that's probably the best casting of all
Like,
time.
I don't care about Tobey Maguire, but...
Tobey Maguire is a great Peter Parker. Like, cause, like, I think that's what I really is missing from Homecoming is, like, there's no consequences to anything Peter does in that movie. He's kind of just handed everything. Whereas you look at Tobey, he's really put through the shit. Like, he just never... That's the thing with Spider-Man, though. He's like...
That's not, like, fucking Tom Holland's fault, though.
No, that's the problem with the writing of, like, his Spider-Man is just... He just... No consequences, really, for anything that happens. Like, for instance, he gets kicked off the academic team. Oh no, he's there. His whole reason for being Spider-Man is to impress Tony Stark, it feels like. Because Uncle Ben's just completely absent. At least,
well, that's because they didn't want to fucking know.
Well, but you just took away his whole reason for being Spider-Man because of his guilt over letting his uncle get killed. Which is, like, that's kind of an issue I have. They try to make him like Tony Stark Jr. Like, there's Homecoming's a fun little movie, but, like, I do have issues with, like, you know, Peter Parker in that movie. I also hate Flash Thompson in that movie too.
Yeah.
Like, Flash Thompson's like, who would get picked on by this kid? Like, he's honestly a bigger geek than Peter. So, we'll see how Spider-Man Far From Home turns out. So, but Tom Holland loves being Spider-Man, so good for him. Like, I mean, he's not bad. Garfield was not a good Peter Parker, but he was good in the Spider-Man suit. Although
he was just like
he was too cool.
He was too much of an asshole, like, to be Spider-Man. Like,
yeah, like I felt like with Tobey, they found a good balance of him being like quippy but not overly quippy. Like they didn't want to go over the top to where he became
he was like
so much
too much
of
of a nerd. Like, he was just like he was too much of a nerd. It's like Tom Holland's like perfect. Like, he's like right there. Like, He's like, you know, perfect for being a good Peter and a good Spider-Man, but like fucking.
His Peter's not as good as Tobey's Peter, and his Spider-Man is not as good as Garfield's Spider-Man, but he's good at balancing both. So in a way, if you say Tobey's like this, Garfield's like this, Holland's kind of like in the middle. So in a way, they all like the cumulative averages of Spider-Man all kind of evens out for me. But yeah, we're getting way off topic in this.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, it's all right. I know Phil.Lord worked on this movie, and Phil.Lord is like, him and Chris Miller have done like the Lego movies. They just kind of were, I know they were like writers and were the original directors of the Solo Star Wars movie, but you know, that one sucked. But like this one just wasn't clicking for me like the way I hoped it would, and I'm kind of disappointed by that, but it's all right if you're gonna see it. Kids, I'm sure young kids will like it. They'll really like the animation. I think the animation is what really saves this movie.
Yeah, if you like cool animation, or you're just like a really big Spider-Man fan, then you'll probably like it. But
yeah, a lot of Easter eggs and stuff like that. So, but for me, I think it was just all right. Didn't really wow me. I didn't really hate it, but it was just wasn't clicking for me like the most like the last Spider-Man movie, which was Spider-Man Homecoming. I enjoyed that one a lot more. Yeah. That's all I gotta say. Anything you want to add? Is there anything in the movie that you thought of?
I don't know. The post-credit scene is pretty funny.
Yeah, the post-credit scene is really funny, and then there's a Stan Lee cameo, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
So that was kind of touching to see.
Hopefully, we'll still get a couple more of those.
Yeah, I think he filmed a bunch more. Like I know Stan Lee's appeared. He also can't. I know he was in Teen Titans Go to the Movies when I saw that. That was probably my favorite Stan Lee cameo of the year. I thought that one was really, really funny. Because
was that good? I didn't even see that.
Teen Titans Go to the Movies, I like that one a lot more than this one, to tell you the truth. Because, like, that one was a lot funnier. Like, Stan Lee's cameo, he's just, like, they're kind of walking around the Hollywood set, and then Stan Lee's in the background, he's just trying to, like, he's literally, like, he's waving, he's drawing attention to himself, and he, like pushes them out of the way. He's like, hey, kids, it's me, Stan Lee here, making my obligatory cameo. And then they're like, Stan, this is a DC movie. He's like, it's a DC movie, I'm out of here. And then he shows up later on, he's like, I don't care if it's a DC movie, I like making cameos. Oh, man, I love Stan Lee. Stan Lee was a great guy. It's a shame that he's no longer with us. But, you know, Stan Lee's a cool dude. So, all right.
Yep.
I think that's going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Next movie I'm seeing is the Aquaman movie. So, hopefully that one's good. I mean, I'm excited to see that one. I think that one's going to be, like, insane. Because I like James Wan's movies, so it should be fun. All right. Peace.
See ya.